Well, good morning, friends. Just a little greeting this morning before we get our Mass at 10 a.m. underway. Just wanted to mention to you that the COVID vaccine is coming. I'm sure you've seen in the news various announcements about this, and I just wanted to point out again what an important thing this is to focus on and to think clearly about. Some people certainly are going to say, and it's a sign of the derangement syndrome that happens at this political season, that normally under any kind of sane, logical circumstance or clear thinking environment, when there's a public health emergency and a vaccine comes onto the scene to deal with it, people are going to be happy. People are going to want it. They're going to want it to at least come and be available. Sooner the better, right? The sooner the better. We're talking about public health. But when it's a political season, well, those who want to read political motives into everything under the sun, including the rising and setting of the sun, they're going to say, oh, well, this is because of political motives and it's being rushed, It's going to be unsafe because it's rushed and the president just wants to have it before the election. And that's nonsense. If the president does things to hurry it up safely, but remember, it's called Operation Warp Speed, he'll be blamed for doing it out of political motives. If he didn't do that, he'd be blamed for dilly-dallying, just like he's blamed for dilly-dallying at the outset of the pandemic, which is also a bunch of lies. He acted sooner and more decisively than anybody else. So the fact of the matter is, this is Operation Warp Speed, the development of a vaccine more quickly than any time in history. And let me tell you why it's fast. It's not because of political motivation. The director of the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, the director of the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and the Surgeon General, all three of these people, have explicitly publicly said that the development and release of this vaccine for the Wuhan virus is being done based on the timing of it is being done based on the science and the data. You and I are the first consideration, the safety and health of the American public. It is being released based on the science, the medical development, and the data of these trials and these testings. No political motivation whatsoever. That's one thing. Now, if people don't want to believe that, even though these key responsible people are saying it publicly, well, you know what then? It's more of a problem of our ability to trust. Because if we're going to live in a country and do our daily business with each other, we've got to have some measure of trust in those that are leading the way. Otherwise, you might as well not trust that the traffic light at your local intersection, when it's green in your direction, you might as well not trust that it's red in the other direction. I mean, after a while, right? You got to live by common sense. I know that a common concern, and some of you are mentioning it also, is will it be using the cells or body parts of aborted babies? No. The answer to that is no. I have been in conversations about this with the administration, with those who are overseeing these research projects. It will not involve any immoral activity. Remember, the Trump administration acted very decisively over a year ago to end research and testing that involved the body parts of aborted babies. Now, there were some existing cell lines, but as far as the initiation of any new ones or contracting with any groups that wanted to use aborted baby tissue, the Trump administration rejected 13 out of 14 research proposals recently for government funding, precisely because the proposals involve using aborted baby tissue. So we don't have to do that. Now, another question or concern that is brought up is, well, are we going to be mandated to do this? And no, I don't see that coming at all. Remember, we're under the administration right now of a president who has more respect for the freedom of conscience of Americans than there has ever been. He even established an office for conscience and religious freedom. So this is not the kind of an administration that is going to force you to do anything against your conscience. So what we're talking about here, brothers and sisters, is a positive development in the management of this health crisis. We're not talking about making you or your family or anybody else from coast to coast do anything that they don't want to do. It's just look at the masks, for example. It's not the president who's saying, oh, let's do a mandate to wear masks. No, it's Joe Biden who's saying that. So do not worry about that. And he's going to set the same tone for the for local leaders and whatnot across the country, as far as any kind of guidance coming from the administration. As far as your states and local leadership, that's why we have the ballot box. Put the right kind of people in there. You heard the president in his rallies in North Carolina and in Nevada, and Michigan, saying to the people, hey, listen, you got to get your governments to open up your state, open it up. And that is very, very clear. So I wanted to share those perspectives with you. And particularly, my main point here is that you know how to answer the accusation. It has nothing to do with whether or not you believe in vaccines or are going to use the vaccine, but answering the accusation, oh, well, this is being rushed for political motives. Again, the Surgeon General of the United States, the director of the Centers for Disease Control, and the director of the Food and Drug Administration have publicly made it clear that in overseeing all of this, it is based on, and it's going to remain, based on the science and the data is going to determine the timing for the release of this. Now, I think it'll be out sooner rather than later, perhaps in another month or so. But again, the science and the data will determine that, and these things still have to be brought in, the plane has to be brought in for a landing. But let me just make one more point. We're dealing with a president who knows logistics and how to make things work faster. From his time in New York City, where there were construction projects that he was involved in or that he stepped up to the plate to help with, got things done always in a shorter time frame than had been projected and at a lower cost. We're talking about someone who now, as president, has taken infrastructure projects and reduced the amount of time that they take to process and to execute from taking 20 years to taking 2 years. He cuts regulations. No president has cut more regulations in our government in our entire history. And when you have burdensome regulations, not only is that consuming of money, that's consuming of time. And so what we're looking at here is somebody who knows how to get rid of waste, whether you're talking about money, regulations, or time. So it should be of no surprise that this is something that's happening at, well, as the project is called, warp speed. There's no reason to think that that is simply a political motivation or that corners are being cut in terms of health. They aren't. And we're going to see the good results from this. So I just want you to be equipped to be able to talk about it. And we always advocate, of course, for our freedom in these matters. And there's no bigger champion of conscience than the current occupant of the White House. There will be, there's a lot of different questions too in regard to this, and there will be additional information that I'll be able to give you as I consult with various people that are involved in this, and certainly they will be. One thing about this administration is that they are very, very transparent, very communicative, and they keep us in the loop. They will keep all of us in the loop by means of press conferences, statements, and reports, and you can look forward to a lot of that. This is not going to be done in the dark, no secrets, no surprises. It's going to be good news, and it's going to be things that, the information is placed in our hands, and so that we can process it and make decisions for ourselves and for our families. And then, any questions that arise, we will be able to answer it, or we'll be able to get the answers for you. Okay, so let's start the day. Let's get voters mobilized today, by the way. Remember, every day counts now. Some early voting processes have begun in certain states. Voter registration is still taking place. It's a very active time, and it is time for you and me to reach as many voters today as we can, tomorrow and the next day. Get them registered, get them informed, and get them to the polls. We'll talk to you in a little while. We'll be having Mass in about 20 minutes, and then we'll be talking to you throughout the day as well. Tonight, by the way, final point, there's a Trump rally. 9 p.m. Eastern tonight from Wisconsin. Will you be watching it with me? I want to invite you to watch it with me. 9 p.m. tonight Eastern time. Let's watch the president. Let's listen to him. When you watch these rallies, if you're already in his corner, you know what? You get fired up. And you get even better educated, because what you also hear is the key accomplishments, historic accomplishments that the administration has made, both on pro-life and on so many other issues and so many other topics. And you will be hearing also the vision that he has for America. I did the other night, many of you were watching a long explanation of why he's not a divider, he's a uniter. And one of the ways we unite is that we advance the principles on which the country was founded, advancing those principles, not just for some people, but for everybody. And this is exactly what these rallies do too. They remind us of our history, they remind us of our founding principles, and we're going to be reflecting in the Mass in about 20 minutes on the fact that today is Constitution Day. And that's something that's important for us to reflect on as well. Constitution Day, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. So thanks for tuning in for a few minutes here, friends. We'll talk to you throughout the day. Father Frank Pavone here of Priests for Life. God bless you.
Yes, I think we have Richard Lee, we have Jim Garlow, and we have Father Frank Pavone, someplace there in the audience. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Follow him, Father Frank Pavone, Fr. Frank Pavone, on Twitter. He is the National Director of Priests for Life. Please go to priestsforlife.org.